Hello and welcome to another video. So we're going to be moving forward again with our contacts application. So where we kind of left off previously was we had our user controller that had a register and we had the full registration process and workflow working correctly. So what I'd like to do is maybe make the login workflow next. And to do that, we need to create our rights, we need to create a controller. So we've got a controller here, so we need to make a exports.login portion of this next. Okay, so let's kind of get started on that in our user controller. See if we can get this finished in this video, at least this controller. So let's say that we've got that. Let's close that off there, and we'll start exports login. Similar sort of thing. It's going to be an async function with a rec res. We're going to encapsulate in a try catch block. Let's start writing this out. So one of the things what we need is we need the email and the password at this point. We don't need like all of the data. We just need the email and password from this. So we'll do the same sort of thing. We'll do a const email password. So that equal to the request body. Then we'll go off and find the user based upon that and check that whether it exists. So and we're going to be finding it by email. So now what we need to do is, if there isn't a user, then we must have either an invalid email or password or something because we weren't able to find them. Yeah. So let's do that. We'll say if there is no user, then we'll return a res.status of 400 with a message of invalid username. Was it email or password? We don't want to be specific, but it's the email that's invalid or the password's invalid because that would not be a good thing. That's kind of giving them a bit more information than we would want them to have. Okay. So that will do for that one. So now what we can do is we can go off and see if the passwords actually match. So let's make a const passwords match and say wait. And we're going to basically compare the passwords. So we'll say and check it against the user password. See if those two are the same. If we don't match on password, then again, invalid email or password. So we could literally copy this part, bring it down here, paste it in. Instead of user, we'll say no. Passwords match. Same thing, 400 error. So these are our unhappy states here. These are in our whimsical. If we have a look at our whimsical, we have this registration flow, but we also have a login flow of the same sort of thing. We've got a happy case, we've got a unhappy case with either the user or the password or wherever it didn't connect, can't find the thing. Then we've got another unhappy case where everything's all messed up. So in the internal subrow. So we're going to kind of cover these and the happy case of 200. Yeah. So it's kind of showing the different sort of status possibilities there. And we're just following that pretty much. So if it all works out and everything's great, if neither of these ifs sort of trigger, then that means it's time to create a token. So const token is going to be equal to JWT dot sign. I'm going to create a token. And we need to give it a few things. It needs the user ID preferably. So we'll make an object here with user ID, and we'll pull that from the actual user. Then we will give it the secret key. So config dot secret key. Then we give it an expiration. So the expiration will be expires in. But now I'm just going to give it a 1 hour expiration. You can put it like 2, 10 hours, 10 minutes, whatever you want to put really. I'm going to give it a 1 hour. I think that's plenty for the moment. We can tweak that and change it if we feel like it. So now that we got the token, we want to pass that token on to the front end basically. So now we're going to get a res.status of OK, so 200. And the JSON will literally be the token. Okay, and then for our 500, that's going to be in our catch when we catch it all. This is if there's like a server error of some sort. So we can say res.status, and we're going to 500 with a JSON message of internal server error. Okay, we went through that fairly quickly because it was very similar to what we already did with the register. So kind of done the find one, same sort of concept. We could have almost literally copied this thing and changed one little bit in the hashing, instead of hashing, we're doing that. So there's not much of a difference there. But there's the login. We now have a login as well. So we've got a register and a login, at least in the controller. We now need to route it through. We need to make sure that it goes through on the user routes. And that's a fairly rudimentary thing to do. Similar to, well, so that's the model, user routes. Similar to what we've got here, literally. So we're going to be doing a post. So router.post. We're going to take the endpoint, which is /login. I'm going to take the controller, which is the user controller. Dot login. That's it. Now we've hooked up the route. Okay. And we already have it set up so that that is here. Where's it gone? There we go. So it's going to be API user /register, which we tested before, and API user /login, right? Well, we know we registered something before. Let's have a look at our README because we registered something here. So this is what we registered. So we could almost, in fact, let's copy and paste this. And let's change it a little bit. We don't need the username at this point now. We need the email. So let's get rid of that. The rest should stay the same. Now, instead of register, let's change that to login. And let's go do it. Let's see if this works. Let's go and do our curl command. Copy the curl command. Let's go over here. Paste it in. Are we actually running actually at this point? It's taking a while. I don't know whether we're actually running, to be honest. Oh, what happened then? On this message, internal server error. Okay, so we got a problem. There's a problem somewhere. Okay, let's take a look and see what we can see for the problem. Where are we? Here we go. Let's have a look. What's this saying? Error connection to Mongoose could not connect to any servers in your Atlas cluster. I've got a feeling, see the IP isn't whitelisted. I've got a feeling that today my IP has changed from what it was. Therefore, it's no longer whitelisted. Therefore, we don't have access to the Mongo database. That's what it looks like to me, right? Which is fine, but that's to be expected. I could have made it so any IP address can connect as well. But for now, I'll just update this. Just be mindful of that because it's right there. This is it. There's atomic email. That's the password. That's fine. Let's go over to our actual information. Where are we? Somewhere around. There should be database access. Is it database access or network access? Let's look at network access. see what we've got. I'm gonna have to relog into this to have it do its thing. Clear that. Yeah, it's taking a little while to load. Okay, so I've got a feeling that I'm going to be on a different IP address than this. Current IP address is not added. You will not be able to connect. See, so that's a good sign. Add current IP address. Current IP address is added. Blah blah. Hopefully pending. Come on. Let's see. Still pending. Still pending. Come on. There we go. So now our current IP address is added. Saying it's not added for some reason. Well, let's see. That looks fine. Let's give it one more try. Let's see if that was the problem. Go up. See if that's still the problem or whether something else is going on. This is one of them where it's like, okay. Internal server error still. It seems like it's saying it's not added, even though it is. It says it includes, but it says current IP address is not. I don't like this. I'm going to delete all these. It's just being awkward. It's like it's going, no, we decided you're not attached. Add addresses. Allow access from anywhere. Do not do this as a thing. And delete it in one day. Yeah. Let's confirm that. Pending. Still pending. That is really weird. Still pending. This is a weird sort of situation. Okay, so we finally now got our. I just had to refresh the database and to allow it to thingy, and then close this off and open it again. It's now finally connecting to the database. That was the problem at the time. So now we hit our login, we get our token. How cool is that? So we're able to actually log in now with that. That's awesome. So now this readme.md file is correct. So we've now got our two possibilities of doing the stuff. We can register and we can log in. That took a little bit of looking at, but again, that's just be mindful that your network access is important, but try not to do this too often. Okay. This was just a weird one where for some reason my IP address kept changing. I don't know how or why it was doing that. Now that kind of sorts it for now. But now it's all refreshed. I've set it so it's only available for like a day. So tomorrow this won't work. And this video won't be released until far after that anyway. But literally, we now have another step in the right direction. We've now got a login. So we've managed to make a registration and a login so far. We've still got to do all these other routes and the other stuff. We've finally finished doing our user routes and our user controllers. We can work on our contact routes if we like now. I think that'd be an interesting one to go over. So let's have a look. We've got a contact controller. So we need to kind of think about, okay, how are we going to approach this? What are we going to do? Well, perhaps we want to make a new contact. Let's try making the create first, because that'd be an interesting one where we could create some data, right? So let's think about this. We need access to the model, the contact model, or the contact thing, yeah? So let's do const contact is equal to require. So look, / models / contact. There we go. So now we've got access to the contact. What we can do, we can do exports dot create contact. Yeah. And that's going to be another async function. And remember, we have our res pattern there. And we're going to do the same sort of thing. We need try catch block. So let's start with building that. Try something. catch an error. Let's do the unhappy case of internal server error first. So res.status to 500.json with a message. You guessed it, internal server error. Okay, that's pretty much the pattern of what we've got here anyway. That's what we've been doing in our other ones as well. So now for our try, this time we need to pull the name, email, telephone, address, and category from our request body. Let's do that. Name, email, telephone, address, category. And we'll be taking those from the rec.body. Notice a pattern. Oops, I'll put a dot there instead of a comma. Right, so let's utilize those now. So const new contact is equal to a new contact object, and we need to pass it an actual object. So first we want the user, which is going to be the request's user underscore ID. So that's going to pull the user ID. Then we want the name, we want the email, we want the telephone, we want the address, and we want the category. Okay, so that will now build a new contact. Then we need to save that contact. So we're going to do await new contact, save. Notice the pattern, similar to when we was making a new user. There's no difference. So if that all works out, then we can do a res.status of 201, basically created, and then give a JSON message of contact saved successfully. That's the happy case for it. So that's pretty much it. In this case, we're going to do like a one happy case and one unhappy case, and we're pretty much done for that. That's pretty cool. So now, in theory, we should be able to create this, but we need to think about what shape our actual contact needs to be in. So that's going to be our next step. Okay, so let's think about this. We need to kind of do something similar to our login and stuff, but slightly different, because we need some extra headers. We need an authorization header. So you know that token that we got, we need to use that. I'm gonna remember it's available for an hour, so I'm going to keep that right now. Obviously, it's not going to be valid all the time, but for now, let's try and build it up in our README. We know this is our token, right? Wow, is that just the way it's doing it? Okay. Doing line wrap, that's fine. So we've got our token. We want to do something similar. We're doing a post with some headers and some data, right? But our header is going to hold our token. So we want something like this to start with. Yeah. We also want another header, yeah, with authorization. And then paste that token. There we go. So that's kind of there. So I need to close that off. I don't know why that's not closing off. So oh no, it doesn't. It looks the same anyway. That's fine. Right. So now we've got the headers. We now need some data. Same sort of thing. We need to do the whole backslash quotes name backslash quotes colon backslash quotes Bob Jones or something, just making up a name at this point, backslash quotes. Then we need the email. So backslash quotes, email, backslash quotes, colon, backslash quotes, bob@gmail.com, backslash quotes, comma, backslash quotes, a lot of backslash quotes here, telephone, backslash quotes, colon, backslash quotes, 0121, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, I'm just making up a number. Backslash quotes, comma, the address. Let's do backslash quotes, address, backslash quotes, colon, backslash quotes, some address, 123 this street, backslash quotes, comma, backslash quotes, category, backslash quotes. Remember, it's an enum, so we can only have one of two possibilities, either an individual or a business. So I'll call this one an individual. Backslash quotes, individual, backslash quotes, and then single quote. So that seems to be what we should be doing to get the thing. Let's see if it works. I mean, I could have a typo somewhere. There could be so many different things wrong with this, but let's give it a go. I'm going to copy this and see what it gives us. No, oh, guess what we need? Who forgot the URL at the end? Oh dear. Okay, not a problem. Let's have a look at what's needing to be done next. So we've got our controller. I haven't even saved that controller, so that would be a problem anyway. We need to route this as well. So now we've got our controller. We've got an idea of what we want for our curl, almost. Now we need a place to send it. So we need the contact routes to be done. Similar to what the user routes are done. So we want the router and the express. So let's take that. Pop that in here. Now we also need, if you look, we want the contact controller. Contact controller equals require. Let's see, where are we? Do we need like dot slash? Yeah, dot slash controller slash contact controller. So similar sort of thing. We've got route post register. We want a route post slash, basically, just the actual endpoint for that particular one. So let's do it. Let's say router dot post slash. And we want to link that up to contact controller dot create contact. Okay, save that. Now that's all saved. Double check that it's still running. It's all good. Now we need to set this up in the main to be there, right? So let's have a look. We've got API users. So similar to that, we'll have app.use / API / contacts. And we'll say contact routes. And we need to actually import that. So at the top here, we've got this routes. So we want to do a similar sort of thing with contact. Whoops. Contact routes is equal to require dot slash src slash routes slash contact routes. Let's save that, make sure it's restarted and done its thing on NodeMon. We've got a problem. App crashed, waiting for file change before starting. Let's see what's gone wrong. Router use requires middleware function, but got an object. Okay, I've gone and sort of messed something up somewhere. What have I done here? Contact routes. Did I do something weird here? Contact routes. Contact routes. Create contact is a function. That's the post, the router. Guess what I didn't do? What's here? We didn't export the router, so it's just got nothing there. When it's said an object, it's literally an empty object that it's got there. So we do need to actually export it first, don't we? Fun times, typo for the win. Let's save that for a moment. Let's double check that it's. I'm going to restart the server just to make sure it's running fine. So let's terminate batch job, clear the screen, rerun the server, just to make sure it's 100% okay. Server's running and connected to the database. Okay, so now we know we can do a http://local host :5000/API/contacts as the endpoint. And now we get an internal server. So there is something wrong here. I'm not quite pushing enough correct things through in some way, shape, or form. Okay. So let's look, see whether it's got an error. It doesn't really have an error directly here. So there's a bit of a problem. We need to figure out what it is that we're not quite doing correctly. There's something missing, something not quite right. It might be that the token, maybe I've been doing this for more than an hour and the tokens ran out or something like that. We'll find out. You know what, actually, let's log in, get a new token. Yeah. Copy that. Go over here. Let's rewrite the token. Paste that in. Still getting an internal server. The downside is it's not really telling us if there's something wrong. So obviously I've got a typo somewhere. Okay, there's a slight issue here. We're doing all this and we're not getting this user. And the reason why we're not getting this user is one thing I forgot about completely is we'll need some sort of middleware to kind of go, let's extract the user from that token, right? Because otherwise that user thing doesn't exist. This is just undefined. I don't know why I completely forgot about doing any form of middleware whatsoever. That was just silly. But that's fine. That's just these things happen. We are doing live stuff, and it's kind of one of those. But that's awesome. It's a good sort of segue onto middleware in general. So at this point, I need to make some middleware. Something I didn't particularly plan for, just because it's that often. Then in most real world situations, you'll be using like Okta, Auth, or another form of sort of authorization, authentication. So that middleware will be provided for you. But obviously, we're making this all from scratch. So that means we've got to make our own JWT middleware to authorize and authenticate things, which is awesome. This is a whole other thing where we need to do that. That's fine. So we can make it inside the source, I suppose. Let's make a new folder called middleware. Let's make a new file called like auth middleware or something like that. Okay, so we're going to need the JWT. We'll start. So const JWT equals require JSON web token. We want the config, so we'll say const config is equal to require. It's going to be //config/config. There we go. We want the user model, so we have access to the user. So const user is equal to require /models/user. Need access to them. So next we're going to create our auth middleware. So const auth middleware is going to be an async function. needs a rec and a res, but since it's middleware, it also needs a next. It's like chaining a bunch of functionality together. Let's put this in a try-catch block. So first I want to extract the token. So const token is equal to the request dot header. And we want the authorization header. Then we want to kind of take the bearer out of bearer token. And basically replace it with nothing because we want to extract just the token. Okay. Once we've done that, we'll say if there is no token, that means we're not authorized. So we need to return a res.status of 401, which means unauthorized. And then we'll give it a message saying that authorization token is missing or something like that. Okay, so that's oops, maybe some JSON there, sorry. Okay, so now we've kind of got our unhappy state. Let's go and decode that token and grab the information from it. So still inside our try block at this point, we can now go const decoded is equal to a JWT dot verify token config dot secret key. So we need to give it a secret key. That's going to go and verify. Now we need to go off and grab the user ID from our decoded data. So const user is equal to await user dot find by ID. And then we'll say decoded dot user ID when we encoded the user ID when we created the token. So we need another unauthorized if this doesn't work, basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to have another check. So we'll say if there is no user, which means if it didn't find that thing, then that means we're unauthorized because we haven't found the user. So we'll return res.status, you guessed it, 401, with a JSON message of user not found, we'll say. Okay. Otherwise, we're pretty much there. So now we want to put our request.user equal to the user. So here's where we're setting that user up. And just move on to the next piece of the puzzle. Oops, that wasn't very useful. That's not being very useful at all. Next is a thing, but it's going, no, it's not. There we go, it isn't it? Then we want to catch on an error. And we'll just return another 401 if the token wasn't valid. Imagine it's sent a token, we've got a token, somehow we've got an invalid token. So let's do that. So res.status, again 401 because it's going to be unauthorized. Now giving it a JSON message of invalid token. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of our middleware. We do need to export it though. Module.exports auth middleware. Okay. So this is pretty much it. I don't know why it's because it tried to helpfully auto. Why is that my unexpected semicolon? What have I done here? Oh, equals, sorry. Oh dear. Today is typo day for the win. I don't know why I've got a dot there. What have I done here? header authorization dot replace. Why is that not? It's like it ignored what I typed. Okay, so we're replacing that and we're doing all that stuff. That's cool so far. Save that. Now we need to utilize that auth middleware inside our route or inside our router as such. So we need to use the auth middleware. So here we're going to go into our user router. No, sorry, our contact router at this point. We now want to go router dot use. This will allow us to use some sort of middleware. Now we need to use the auth middleware. I'm going to import that from the correct place. There we go. So let's save that. Let's just for completeness, we'll completely restart the server. Let's shut it down, get it nice and fresh, and we'll run the server. Let's see if this auth middleware has fixed our problem. Let's have a look. Okay, blah blah. In contacts, watch now. Watch the actual token be like, you know, run out or something by then. Invalid token, yeah, there we go. So the token's probably run out by now because it's got to have been over an hour, right? Now what I did do, I've set this up kind of in with another setup here inside Postman to test. So let's see if this gives us an invalid token as well. Unauthorized, okay. Body invalid token. Okay, so basically we need to get a new token. So luckily I've created a login. Let's go log in and get a fresh token. I'm going to pull that token out. Copy that. Go over to here. Go into the authorization header. And get the bearer token. Paste the new token in. And let's give it another go. Still saying invalid token, which is interesting. Does not like that token, which is a very strange thing, really, because it's exactly what we've just got back. So it really doesn't like that token for some reason. Shouldn't be anything to do with that part. Should be fine. We're getting our middleware in there. We're using it in the router. Let's go off and do a couple of other things then. Let's manually, instead of using the authorization bearer thing, say no auth there. And in our headers, let's put our own authorization. And then in the value, I'll put bearer space token, right? Let's try that. We're unauthorized. We're still getting invalid token. It does not like our token for some reason, even though it's the one that we've just literally created. That's very interesting. What I'm going to do, I'm going to test that token out, as in I'm going to go to jwt.io, make sure it's an actual valid JWT token as well. Start. User ID. That's looking good. It looks like a valid token. That kind of looks okay. It's looking good. So I don't know what. Saying invalid signature though, interesting. Hang on a minute. We have a problem. It's saying invalid signature. That's interesting. So it doesn't like the signature of this token. That's really weird because the JWT is giving us that signature. So what's the problem? Let's do it again. Let's try it again. Let's go and do a login. Copy this. Let's go over to the JWT. Paste that in. Looks good. Still getting there. invalid signature for some reason. Let's take away the signature then. That's an invalid signature there. That looks like the barn piece. Let's try that one more time. I'm going to get rid of this. Oh, you've got to actually put your secret key, don't you? Otherwise, it's not going to have a valid signature. Okay, let's Control Z. Let's go and find my secret key because I randomly button bashed the secret key, didn't I? Let's go and find the .env. There's my secret key. Maybe it just doesn't like this secret key. Is maybe throwing off in some way. Let's find that out. Where are we? Paste that in. Signature verified. Okay, so that's fine. So this is a valid JWT, but apparently it's not. Let's copy this. Okay, I'm gonna try something. Okay, for some reason, because I had that console login there, it was messing with stuff, and somehow it decided it was invalid token. Yeah, it wasn't, and it's created it fine this time around. So these are the problems where you can come across single little things blocking everything completely. So my auth middleware is working correctly. We've got the user, we've got the authorization, the bearer token replacing, we've got the token missing, user not found, invalid token portion done. We've got all of this doing what it should do, right? So that's basically it. It took a while to kind of get this working. It was like, none of this was wrong. Okay, this was all right. Yeah, because of this, having a little console login here, somehow it decided it didn't want to work. As soon as I took that away, that same old token that was saying invalid was working again. How crazy is that? Let's make another contact and just make this a business contact with the same stuff in. Contact created successfully. That was a crazy one. That was a big sort of like thing. And these are the things what you don't see when you just go off and do a tutorial. Things that can come up in real world development that really don't make sense and that they shouldn't be a problem, yet they are. So these are the things that you don't get to see when we just go off and, you know, plan it and make a, like, script it out and build out stuff. Again, see the live code of it. This is just, we're doing this thing. We're seeing all the problems, everything. Again, I could make an edited version of this at some point. I could always remake this and do it as a tutorial if you like. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. But I think it's nice sometimes seeing all those flaws and errors and issues that arise, especially in stuff like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this curl. We know this curl works. So I'm going to go to my README and let's go over here. Pop it in there. There we go. So we've now got something we know works there. Yeah. So that's creating a contact. I've done quite a few little bits here. So there's some things I don't want to necessarily put directly in just yet, but let's just say this as its own thing. I'm going to say add that and we'll commit created auth middleware. A little bit out of time sync of it, but that's that. So that kind of kills that off. User router, we then added login for user. I'm going to include the user router. I'm going to include the user controller for that. So we can kind of still granular sort of commit. So I'm not kind of committing everything in one chunk. And then this one is going to be hooking up the contact controller. So this is create new contact. Create new contact, done. Yeah. That gives us a little bit more sort of leeway on the process of what's happened. Okay. So that was quite a big one. I think we're going to end it there because there's a lot of debugging happened today. There's a lot of messing about and getting things working and stuff. That took a lot of time out of this. And I think this is a good point to kind of move forward. I'm going to take a quick break, get a cup of coffee, and we'll end the thing here with just us syncing the changes, and then that'll conclude the video. It's been a roller coaster ride, guys. It's been a real world sort of situation where we're actually going over real world problems and things that really would make no sense normally. But at the end of all this, we'll have an actual application created. So again, this is the whole sort of process that you can go through. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next video.